How's it going, everybody? It's Prod here, and we're back again today to talk about the DLC number 2 for Dark Souls 3. Didn't think I was going to be talking about this thing so soon, but kind of things are starting to add up now that I kind of think about it. So, I'm sure you guys heard about the news that happened here a couple days ago. A YouTuber, Sanad SK, discovered a bunch of secret files on the PC version of Dark Souls 3. Basically dug around and discovered the name of the second DLC. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is gonna be the exact name of the second DLC, but it's pretty cool that it kind of gives us an idea of possibly where we're going to be going. So it might be kind of dumb, but I guess there are people who would want to go into it without knowing the name of the DLC very early on, which, you know, is just completely fine. Obviously, there's no real info about the DLC yet, but apparently the DLC is supposed to be called City of the Dead. And I feel like a lot of people are saying that that is kind of referring to Londor, and that we're going to be going to Londor, you know, City of the Hollow, City of the Dead. And it does make sense because a lot of people did think we were going to be going to Londor for the first DLC. That was kind of like where a lot of things were pointing to, and we ended up going to this place that nobody really knew about, Ariandel. So now that the second DLC is rolling around, we're kind of have all these questions about all these characters, and they all kind of point to this one place that we obviously thought was going to be the first DLC, and that was Londor, and it looks like we might possibly be going there for the second DLC. Now, again, go into it with a grain of salt. You just never know with these things if this is even going to be the name of the DLC. So I say it's cool that we have this info, and obviously it's like inside the game files and stuff, but so are a bunch of weapons that they didn't use, or you can also say weapons that we have not gotten to see yet because they're possibly going to be in the second DLC, and different type of areas and stuff like that. Like, you can watch Sanad SK's channel, and he has a bunch of like unused content and stuff like that that he finds on PC, and they're very, very interesting to see what exactly didn't make it into this game. So now, I do have a couple of speculations about the release date. Obviously, we know no real info so far, but I kind of want to bring out a theory to you guys on when exactly we might see the second DLC. So obviously, we never really had anything before. We didn't have the name or anything like that, City of the Dead, and I feel like they're kind of being pushed, and I'm talking about Bandai Namco and From Software. So, in case you guys don't follow From Software on Twitter, they've been tweeting a lot, man. They've been tweeting a lot and replying to a lot of people, because before, you know, obviously after even the first DLC, immediately after the first DLC, even probably like a day after, you would probably see them get questions of people being like, hey, when is DLC 2 coming out? We just had DLC 1 come out, but you know, whatever. And they just wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't say, oh, you know, it's going to be out here soon. Look out for it soon. They wouldn't say anything. But now, I feel like ever since this got released here, and he found his actual name in the files, they've been kind of putting out a couple hints. You know, people have been asking, when are we going to see DLC 2 announcement? And they've been replying, very soon. You know, I'll show a couple of tweets here that they've been replying to people. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that they would actually start coming out and saying, you know, it could honestly be just some random dude that it's his job to run this Twitter and stuff. That's definitely possible. But I feel like even just running the Twitter, maybe you would have to know something. Like, I doubt that you would be able to say that stuff without being like, hey boss, a lot of people are asking about DLC number 2. Can I just say that we're going to announce something very soon? You know, it's possible they were like, yeah, you know, it's only going to be a couple months out. You can go ahead and say that we're going to announce something soon to calm people's tits about it, because I'm sure they get a lot of questions. So, Dark Souls 3 originally did come out on April 12th in the US and places like that. It came out in places like Japan, March 24th, a couple weeks before. And that is when I had it myself, when that Xbox glitch happened, which was pretty fucking awesome. But obviously, the official release date for us in the States, in the US, would be April 12th. The first DLC came out October 25th, only a couple months ago, which would put that time frame in between those two, approximately 6 months. So it's pretty understandable to think that they're working on both of these DLCs at the same time. Maybe not full on both of them. So for example, I wouldn't be surprised if while they were working on the first DLC, getting everything, you know, the bosses, the story, and everything working on the map, they were laying the groundwork for the second DLC. They were saying, okay, we know where we're going to go. We're going to go here. This is kind of an idea of what we want, and this is maybe what we want the map to look like. It's not a huge shocker for that to actually happen. Now, the idea I kind of want to put out and the release date that I think we might see the second DLC will be somewhere in April, sometime in a couple months, because the time frame is just too perfect. You know, we had a 6-month break between April and October as they were working on the first DLC and possibly laying down the groundwork for the second DLC. From October to April, that's another 6 months. So you'd imagine that both of the DLCs are maybe going to be around the same size. A lot of people are speculating possibly we might even see a way bigger DLC for DLC number 2, and I really hope so, because to be honest, even though DLC 1 was pretty awesome with the boss fight of Sister Frieda, it was pretty damn short. Not a lot of areas, but also areas that I think were really well designed and really in-depth. But obviously that's not going to increase the length of the game by much, or the DLC I should say. So there may be a chance that I'm totally wrong and they want to spend like a bunch more time on the second DLC. Like, who knows? We may not even see it till fucking November. Who knows, man? If they want to make it gigantic, would anybody really blame them? I don't think I'd be super pissed. I'd be like, you know, it really fucking sucks that we're not going to see the DLC until way down the line here in somewhere like September or somewhere around there. But if they want to make a giant DLC, then I'd be pretty freaking happy about it. But I don't think that's the case. I think they kind of want to put it out fairly quickly. I don't think they want to wait too long, and I don't think it's going to be an insane amount bigger than the first DLC. I really don't think it's going to be like a gigantic DLC. I hope it is bigger, but I think the time frame of having the game and the 2 DLCs come out in this 1-year period seems really nice and compact, and like they would actually want it to be this way. So that's my theory. I think that in the next couple months we're going to see something about the DLC 2, possibly City of the Dead, you know, some announcements, maybe a trailer or something. But either way, I do think that sometime in April we will see the second DLC. Now obviously that is just a speculation off of looking at the time frames, but that is also kind of how I saw the first DLC. I kind of thought, okay, this is the previous games, this is how long it took them to put out the DLC, because if you guys go back, way back to a video I made, maybe I'll link it in the description, about the first DLC, I was pretty close with my speculation, just kind of looking at the previous DLCs of like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1, even though, you know, some of those are very different, especially Dark Souls 1 and 2, since they only had one and they were giant DLCs. But I feel like the time frame kind of fits, and I think it would be pretty perfect to have all this come out in just 1 year, because that's quite the legacy to leave behind for such an iconic game series. And Dark Souls 3, like they've said before, is going to be the final of the Dark Souls series. Will they make another one in the future, directed by somebody else, maybe even by another company or another subsection of From Software? Who knows, possibly. I hope so, and I think the money and the copies that this freaking game sold speak for itself, that a lot of people wouldn't mind seeing another one. So that's going to be it for today's video. Definitely let me know what you guys think about this little speculation. Obviously I could be completely wrong, but I kind of want to put this out there and see what people thought about it. I would love to hear your opinions and when you think we will be seeing a second DLC for Dark Souls 3. Either way, I'm extremely excited for the future, and only time will tell, I guess, to see where this game will take us next for the second DLC. And I think Londor sounds right. I think that's a pretty good guess. And we have the name now. So either way, that's going to be it, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace, everybody.